Good evening, everybody. I want to call to order this Aston Township Board of Commissioners meeting for Wednesday, January 18th, 2023. Will everybody please rise for the anthem? Thank you. We're going to change the agenda around a little bit, and I'm going to call on Commissioner John Doherty for new business number F. Consider a motion to appoint Michael Gomer as a part-time police officer with Aston Township.
Conditional appointment of part-time probationary officer. I would like to make a motion that this board appoints Michael Gomer of Middletown to the position of part-time probationary officer at an hourly salary of $22.62 per hour. Once hired, Mr. Gomer will undergo a one-year probationary period. This appointment has the following conditions. Mr. Gomer must successfully pass a complete physical and psychological examination administered by a physician appointed by Aston Township. If Mr. Gomer fails to pass the examinations required, this appointment is immediately withdrawn. The hiring date of Officer Gomer is February 1st, 2023, which may be extended by the Chief of Police for any reason. In the form of a motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? If all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? The ayes have it. Congratulations. I would now like to welcome the Honorable Diane Holfelder, Magisterial District Justice, and if she would please come forward and swear in our new officer.
Serve honestly and faithfully in the performance of my duties to respect the Constitution of all people, to liberty, equality, and justice. I will obey all rules and regulations of the Aston Township Police Department, which are handed down by my superiors. I will keep my private life unsullied as an example to all, maintain courageous calm in the face of danger or ridicule. I will never permit my personal feelings, prejudice, animosity, or friendships to influence my decisions. I will enforce the law courteously without fear, favor, malice, or ill will, never employing unnecessary force or violence, and never accepting gratuities. I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of faith, and I accept it as public trust. As long as I am true to the ethics of police services, I will constantly strive to achieve these objectives before God, my chosen professor, law enforcement. So help me God.
Anybody want to come up, take pictures, family? With the judge? Where'd the judge go? Take one with the judge.
Sorry? I'm good, thank you.
Good. Thank you, Judge. We appreciate you coming down
I
to help
appreciate
out
the
tonight.
invitation,
Thank you.
sir.
Okay, before we move any further, there's something I want to read. This is 18 years to the day on Wednesday, January 18th, 2006, that I attended my first legislative meeting as an Aston Township Commissioner from the 7th Ward. That was at the old municipal building at 5021 Pennell Road. 18 years later, only 3 of us remain. They are Township Engineer Joe Viscuso, myself, and Township Solicitor Beth Norton-Beck. And now, after 18 years, our number has been reduced by 1. And that person is our Township Solicitor, Beth Norton-Beck. For the past 18 years, Beth has handled 99% of our legal affairs, ranging from land development, zoning, ordinances, contracts, litigation, and much more in the way of legal matters. One of our main responsibilities was to keep the board from being brought into litigation or from going to jail. She has done an exemplary job in the performance of her craft. We could not have done our jobs without her advice and counsel. Well, all of us, it is now Beth who has accepted a very responsible position as General Counsel with Gaudenzia, Inc., a large nonprofit organization. And I know that I speak for the entire Aston family, the Board of Commissioners, the administrative staff, Public Works, the Aston Police Department, and all the professionals Beth has worked with over the years in saying the best of luck and Godspeed in your new position. Beth has been a great township solicitor, a great lady, and a great friend. Whoever follows Beth as solicitor will have big shoes to fill. Congratulations.
Any more pictures? I don't want to look like it's a prom. Sure.
Okay, we're back. And everybody left. All right, so next on the agenda is item 3, review and approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of December 21st, 2022. Mr.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Yeah, with it. The motion is second. Any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. So now we're going to do committee reports. Commissioner Doherty.
Okay, I have before me the Treasurer's Report for December 2022. Operating cash for the Township as of December 31st, 2022 was $2,131,035. Total cash balance for the township as of December 31st, 2022 was $18,856,863. That concludes my report.
Mr. Prendergast.
Okay, I'm going to read the Public Works Directory Activity Report for December 2022. Following report highlights the main activity of the Public Works Department. All metal was picked up throughout the township. All township vehicles and police department vehicles were maintained and serviced. All street light issues were reported to Lanai Electric for replacement or repair. All township parks and properties had branches and trash was moved by the highway department. All small engine repairs were completed. All 811 call sheets were reviewed and applicable streets were marked as per 811 guidelines. We continue to work on moving all of our equipment and property to our new Public Works building. Our team salted on 2 different snow events to prevent icing. We also completed mulching leaves in all the parks and common areas. Our sanitation department picked up 71.61 tons of recycling and 500.14 tons of residential waste. Our department also picked up 5,520 pounds of metal, which was recycled for $348.70. A reminder to all residents to dispose of all medical waste property, as radiation can be found on something as small as a tissue or an adult diaper. Nuclear medicine patients should contact their doctors for more instructions on the proposed disposal of medical waste. Please, bulk trash may no longer exist. Anything that can be burned can be put out on your curb for trash at any time. Please have your trash at the curb by 6 a.m. on your designated trash day. Any questions or complaints, please contact Russ Palmore, Director of Public Works, at 610-494-8005. Thank you. That's the end of my report. Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Prendergast. Commissioner Burry.
Thank you, Commissioner Higgins.
Thank
Police
you.
report for December 2022. Can you hear me? Police report for December 2022. Incidents handled 532, accident investigations 38, criminal investigations 16. Clearance rate, Part 1 crime was 62%. Clearance rate, Part 2 crimes was 50%. Also this month, we're going to give you the amount of vehicles that went through certain intersections. We have license plate readers at Pennell and Concord roads. For the month of December, it was 918,191 cars. Pennell and Dutton Mill roads had 702,239 vehicles. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Berry. Commissioner Bowden?
The first thing that I have is from, can you hear me now? Usually you can hear me without a microphone. I have a library report. From the library, our annual bookmark design contest for school-aged children is underway. An entry form is available at the library or downloaded at www.astonlibrary.org. The deadline will be February the 28th. The winner's work will be displayed at the library. Join their crafting groups and you can learn to create with a group of supportive peers. The crochet group meets Tuesdays at 11. The more general craft group meets Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. We now have an art group with Miss Angela meeting each Saturday at 10 a.m. at the library. The group is an opportunity to work on collective or individual projects with assistance and feedback. The group is starting with sketching and moving on to explore various different media. Bring your child to our weekly story times. Infant, toddler, young child. Story time with Miss Raven is Wednesdays at 10:30 a.m. Preschool and older toddler story time with Miss Amy is Thursdays at 10:30 a.m. Our next movie showing is Top Gun Maverick on Friday the 20th at 11 a.m. That's all I have on the library. I have a Park and Recreation Committee report. We're going to have our annual movie night, which will be coming up this February, Friday, February 17th, 6:30 to 9:30 at the Aston Community Center inside. The movie is Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, which is right now in the movie theater. So if you want to bring your children, come see the movie for free. Bring a sleeping bag, bring a blanket, bring a chair. Come on up, have some refreshments, and enjoy the movie. Aston seniors, for them, their next meeting is next Thursday, January 26th at 10:30 at the Aston Community Center. Come on out and say hello to your fellow senior neighbors. And last but not least, I have Aston Township would like to hire substitute crossing guards. Guards will be willing and able to work in all types of weather and in high traffic areas. A criminal background check and child abuse clearance is required. Pay rate is $16 per hour, and crossing guards are paid on a monthly basis. Applications can be picked up at the Aston Township Police Department, 1 New Road, Aston, PA, Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Commissioner McGinn, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Higgins. I have a fire committee report for this evening. A couple of things to identify. First, statistic I typically share, but we're going to look at a great report the Aston Township Fire Department put together for all of 2022. Just with a couple of statistics I find that are interesting, and I think you all will as well. We still have an excellent response time for both EMS dispatch and fire dispatch, meaning the amount of time it takes them to respond to an incident. In Aston Township, both of those on the year were under 7 minutes, which is very impressive and something that not every town has that benefit of. They put together an interesting incident analysis looking at it year to year in terms of fire and EMS calls. When you total it up, there were just under 2,900 calls for both fire and EMS over 2022. The amount of fire calls were 736, which if you look at the kind of the 5-year range is kind of right there between 650 and about 805 over those 5 years, think like 2018 to 2022. The one number that seems to have spiked over the last 2 years is EMS calls. In 2020, 2019, they were right around 1,500. In 2021, it spiked to 1,957, and this past year was 2,142 calls. So it's more response. The one thing I would say, and a credit to the fire committee and our fire department, is making sure, if you remember at the beginning of last year, we were put in a difficult situation with Crozier and potentially having a lot of additional costs there. Through some negotiations and good cooperation with Crozier, those agreements still hold. So those costs are minimized in terms of what those increases could have been to Aston Township. And that's a credit to fellow committee members, Bowden and Les Berry, as well as the fire department. The last thing I will add is that the Aston Township Fire Department is looking to hire full-time EMTs to staff the primary ambulance. While it's a volunteer fire department, through grants and other means, utilize some paid staff for the ambulance. EMTs are really hard to come by. They've posted in numerous ways, but it's also on Facebook. But essentially looking for folks with a high school degree, hazardous materials awareness, ICS, these are training courses, 100, 200, and 700. You may not know them, but people in the business or industry certainly will. And then somebody that is currently either registered nationally or a PA registered EMT. If you're interested, please send your resume to m.ellis@atfd17.com. And again, that's all on the Aston Township Fire Department Facebook page, and I believe on their website as well. That completes my report, Commissioner Higgins.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McGinn. I do have one report to read. This is the Building and Code Department report. The following is a report on the permits and licenses issued for the month of December 2022. There was a beginning balance of $520,611 Total income from building permits and general contractors licenses, $41,591. Total electrical permits and licenses, $1,992. Total plumbing and heating permits and licenses, $4,010. Income from Board of Health licenses, $925. There's no income from peddlers and vendors permits. Income from commercial maintenance inspections, there was no income from that. Income from certificates of occupancy, $1,200. Income from rental licenses, $1,950. And income from street openings, $185. Total revenue collected for the month was $51,853. The total for 2022 is $572,464, compared to December of 2021, which was $1,074,350. That's all for the permits and licenses. Now we need the approval of the treasurer's report. I need a motion on that. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Approval of the bills and payrolls report. Need a motion and second. All right, we have a motion and a second for the bills and payroll report. Any comments or questions? Okay, all signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Thank you. Next is open. This is an open question and answer period for agenda items only, 1/2 hour, and we want to restrict it, if we can, to 3 minutes per comment. So this is agenda items only. Anybody coming up to the speaker? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. I call on Ms. Bowden to put the meeting in Sendai.
I'd like to make a motion to place the meeting in Sendai.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. Ayes have it. Thank you. We'll now turn the meeting over to our solicitor, Ms. Nortonbeck.
Good evening, Commissioner Higgins. On your agenda tonight is the conditional use application of Jared Loss and Michael Gatos to operate a venue for concerts and events on property located at 3100 Mount Road, Unit F3, Aston, PA. This property is located in the LI district and subject to the Rockdale Arts Overlay District. Public notice of tonight's hearing was advertised in the January 3rd and January 10th editions of the Daily Times, and I will have the publication notice introduced into evidence in the file. The property was also posted and notice was mailed to the adjacent property owners. By way of background, last October 2021, the township adopted a Rockdale Arts Overlay District in order to encourage a mix of small-scale creative home business uses and arts-related businesses in commercial spaces oriented towards supporting the visual, performing, and cultural arts while maintaining the residential character of the underlying residential neighborhood. The property at issue, 3100 Mount Road, is also the Aston Mills Art Center, formerly Heron Studios. Falls within this district, subject to conditional use approval, meaning if you want to develop or use this property in one of the ways identified in the district, conditional use approval is required from this board. Present tonight are Jared Loss and Michael Gatos. May I suggest that you both get collectively sworn in?
Can you raise your hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, all truth, and nothing but the truth? If you most likely to swear.
Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, Gatos, G-A-Y, D as in dog, O-S.
Jared, J-A-R-E-D, Loss, L-O-S-S.
I did ask that you both be sworn in, so that way you could each, give your presentation depending on how it is that you've already decided you want to proceed. My only request and instruction is to make sure that you don't talk over each other because of the court reporter being present. But at this point, I will turn it over to you. I know you've submitted materials, which I will also have introduced into the file. And if you'd like to just explain to the commissioners what your intentions are with the property, and then after you complete your presentation, I'll have questions, they'll have questions, the township engineer, and then we open it up to the public. Okay? Thank you.
Gentlemen, would you use the microphone so the people at home can hear it?
Hello. Here. Thank you very much. Jared Loss from Rockdale Arts District and Rockdale Music. I've been the owner and manager of Rockdale Music for 15 years. This guy next to me is Mike Gatos. We'll introduce ourselves with a little bit more detail, but we've known each other for 38 out of 38 years that we've been, and this is our first time working together on a project. So we wanted to share with you our mixed-use creative space for music lessons, classes, rehearsals, performance space, and community events. So this is what we're referring to as the Mill at Rockdale. And what we're seeking is a conditional use approval for assembly under the Rockdale Arts Overlay District for a mixed-use creative space with a focus on music lessons, classes, rehearsal and performance spaces, and community events. And we see the Mill as a place to convene, experience, and celebrate the arts. So as I said, my name is Jared Loss, and I'm a Pencrest alumni. Went to Temple University for tourism and hospitality management. Worked at World Cafe Live and WXPN when I was in college, so that's my experience working in venues. And also worked for a PBS documentary series out in California called Road Trip Nation. Been running Rockdale Music for 15 years. I sit on the steering committee for the Delaware County Arts Consortium and vice president and treasurer of the Rockdale Arts District.
And I'm Mike Gatos. Again, Pencrest alumni, as Jared mentioned, we're lifelong friends, 38 out of 38, pretty cool. Went to school in Pennsylvania, Muhlenberg College, got a degree in music, both performance history and theory, so really great for the job market, but I did okay. But I spent some time interning at record companies, lots of experience in the music business, lived up in New York, and then got kind of backdoor into the advertising industry. So my background expertise is mostly in marketing and advertising, and that's kind of the side I bring to this partnership. Recently, I was named to the board of directors of the Delaware County Historical Society, so I've been doing some work there, down at the museum in Chester and where the new museum might be, if anybody's following. I work at a local marketing agency. We do a lot of work with local clients, small business, medium-sized business, and then some regional clients as well. And I just, I don't want to go too far off script, but I want to give a shout out to my partner here. If anybody hasn't kind of followed what Jared's been doing, music is such an important part of, I think, all our lives and our story in the Delaware Valley. Especially locally. I think you probably could say we invented rock and roll here, but Jared has really put in, a ton of energy and a ton of his time and hard work into building a school to kind of pass that along. So, very important work. If anybody's interested, I'm sure Jared would love to have you down to the school currently, and he's just done a wonderful job, and the community has embraced that. And I think it's just important to know. So we've identified, better. So we've identified some really key trends that are happening in the area, and we see some shifting demographics, and not only in Delaware County but in Aston as well. So the opportunity really is to provide a space for baby boomers, Gen Xers, people who don't want to go into Philadelphia. Millennials who've now moved out of Philadelphia, have lived there for a number of years, have families, are now in the area. And then this Gen Z kind of mystery that everybody's trying to crack in my business and marketing. But how do we attract them, get them to participate in kind of more community events and arts as well? And it's really a great opportunity, not only for Aston, not only for this part of Delaware County, but Delaware County as a whole. There's a true deficiency in music venues. The pandemic was an absolute slaughter for them. And I think it's time we all get back to seeing some live music. So we're very excited to have identified these opportunities. And so why a music venue in Aston and Rockdale? We think it builds community, we're kind of building on the existing arts community that's in Rockdale. But we're going to have a great place for people to come together, have great entertainment and enjoyment, and it's right here in our backyard. We want to bring people in. I think that's a really not an ambitious goal. I think people will flock from neighboring communities and bring with them, their opportunity and their enjoyment as well. And we're supporting the arts economy. I think there are a lot of great things happening right now in Aston and Rockdale with the arts. But as we've seen in other communities, this is a great opportunity to bring in people, not only to see shows, but to kind of build on that reputation of good, clean, fun, enjoyment. So really a great thing to build on.
All right, thank you, Mike. And so we aim to really be a creative community center and hub for the arts in Delco. As Mike said, a lot of venues closed during the pandemic, especially in Westchester and Wilmington. There's a couple of venues that are closest to us here that had to shut their doors. We see this as an opportunity for job creation, different part-time service jobs, college-level internships, and gigs for local and regional musicians. I think a lot of my students would enjoy playing in a place like this too. So, which leads me right to theater programs. That Rockdale actually serves as the music school serves as a great theater program already built right in. We're running out of space at our current space, so this also is going to be an expansion of our current studio space for more opportunities for more students and better opportunities for our current students. And there's lots of performing arts programs in local high schools, Newman University, Westchester, Swarthmore, Widener, where a lot of my teachers all went to school, as well as in the city at University of the Arts as well, and Tyler, and plenty of programs in the area. We also see career training opportunities for jobs behind the scenes in music. We all know about musicians, but we don't think about the sound and lighting, the booking, ticketing, marketing, everything else that goes behind the scenes on the hospitality side. There's lots of opportunities for every one person in a band. There's probably 2 or 3 people working behind the scenes, right? We see also opportunities for vendors and partners in the area with breweries, distilleries, coffee shops, bakeries, and caterers. We don't see ourselves doing the liquor license route right away, so we're going to be teaming up and looking for different opportunities of how to serve our guests. And arts and culture, displaying the works of local artists in a gallery space, especially the artists at the Aston Mills Arts right around the corner from us. We already spoken with the president over there, who may or may not be in the room, and and we plenty of opportunities to display the works of all the talented artists over there as well. So these are just the different types of events that we see. We can offer concerts, open mic, and karaoke. Mike and I also play in a band together, and we did a live band karaoke at our current space for my sister's birthday party last year, and it was a big hit. People were offering to pay us a lot of money to do more of them, so we did. We have sports event watch parties, movie nights, stand-up improv comedy, community theater, art shows, vendor shows, weddings and parties, etc. Mike was even coming up with more ideas today, but we only had 9 spaces on this slide. So. And I'll talk about just a little bit of the comps, the different venues in our area. You'll see us at the top, which is just a projection, the Mill at Rockdale, and we're looking at 120 seated to 250 standing. You'll see a bigger number later in the standing room. That's based on square footage. It's not based on what we see as as what would serve this area with everything. Ticket prices, we'll have to figure that out once we figure out how much money we had to spend on it, right? Now, Ardmore Music Hall, which is on the other side of the county in Ardmore, they're a nice comp based on their newer venue, about the same amount of people. And you can see their ticket prices. They also have like some VIP seating and different things like that. So Arden Guild Hall is probably the best example of another venue that's in kind of a neighborhood similar to what Rockdale is, which if you're familiar with Arden Gill Hall, it is in the middle of a neighborhood. Not much parking, not much of anything. My band just played there, actually, one of the bands I play in just played there in December, and they could go up to about 300 standing room. And they're in that 25-30 range. 118 North, which is the newer venue too, also managed by the same people with Ardmore Music Hall. They're about 100 people. Bar 13 around 100, Kelly Center around 100, Warehouse 3, which is in Swarthmore, that's the closest one. I was just over there this past weekend. They're at around the 85 range, and Jamie's House of Music on the other side of the county in Lansdowne as well. So you can see there's some venues, and about that same size is what we're looking at too. We think anything bigger than that, there isn't much of a market for it. So that's where we see it coming in. So I'll get into the plans. As you see right over here, this is our this is our current Rockdale space on with the hardwood floor, and then the much bigger space that we'll be taking over. We already control the lease for the space. We've controlled the lease for a while. We have a subletter right now who's staying in there until we're ready to go. And we'll kind of give you a better, go ahead, Mike, show you. So, that's our current studio space, about 1,600, and we're looking at roughly 4,000 more square feet. This is the basic, this is what we're looking at right now. It's pretty much a big open space with just 2 framed out areas. And we plan to not do too much with framing, but we're going to be getting rid of the room that was over here and the room that was in the other corner, building a stage in that corner when you first walk in. And then over here we've got bathrooms, handicap accessible bathrooms, and we're going to do separate stalls and just shared sinks and this. And this would be our practice space that we'd be using for our current music programs, as well as we're also expanding and doing more group programming. So we need the bigger space for larger groups. And this just gives you an idea of what it would look like when we put seats in there, and that there is space. I believe it's 50 to 60 inches for aisles for people to get around. Everything we're going to do is also ADA compliant. We have a chairlift right here when you first come in, and then there's also a chairlift at the top to get you out that exit or onto the stage. We actually partner with a lot of programs that with kids who have special needs, and work, especially Autism Science Foundation, and working with them to make sure there's inclusive entertainment experience as well. This gives you a good idea of, we had this site plan done, so this gives you a good idea of where we are, if you're not familiar with our area. There's this kind of map over there, but we're right down on Mountain Road at the Rockdale Industrial Center, Mountain Road and Red Hill, and the Chester Creek the west branch of the Chester Creek is right up above there. We had this plan done to really get an idea of what kind of parking is available to us, really, and just have a better idea of the entire site. That brings me to capacity and parking. So based on that site plan and survey, there's 124 total available parking spaces. 17 are currently painted spaces, and then there's paved areas for 86 additional spaces, and 21 more spaces at the 2 adjacent properties with the same ownership. Those 21 spaces, we'd have to there'd be some more development figuring out exactly how to get to those. This venue setup and capacity, this is of the different setups and how many people we would have. So if we were doing a table seated show, we'd be looking around 120, chair seating around 250, and standing room around 363. Now again, that's all based on square footage. That's not what we foresee doing. We don't want to do big shows like that. We don't think there's the parking for big shows like that. So we're more looking at that 250 max standing room, which also gives people more space to move around. We're not trying to pack people in like sardines here. And the parking requirements based on the Aston Township Code are 1 space per every 5 guests, or 1 per place of assembly, 1 space for 150 square feet, and 1 space per employee. So our max needed, based on even that highest 363 standing room, would be 95 spaces, which, if you do our math here, we're there. We've got that much space, but it gives us even a little bit of flexibility to move around. All right, I think it's...
I'll give you a break. So neighbors and noise. We wanted to really address these specifically. I know noise is a major concern for any community, and as a music venue, there's noise associated with a music venue, right? But I think what we're looking at is, based on where the venue would be situated, we're looking at our nearest neighbors being over this lovely hill right here. This is looking out from the entrance to the venue across the parking lot. So it's somewhat of a nice natural buffer. We're also in the interior of the building, no neighbors up or below. So that also creates some nice area to trap the sound as well. And we have been working with rehearsal space and performances for the last few years. We run not super far past 9 o'clock, but we do. We've not received a complaint to date that's a use case for it. But we have recently measured the noise for a pretty loud band. And we're getting readings kind of right up against the creek, right outside of the door, that we're within the range of an acceptable noise decibel reading per the code. So we believe that with paying attention to things like insulation, we can cut down on the noise and be very responsible with that. It's something that we understand is going to be key to making this thing work. And this is just an example of some proposed signage. If you think of kind of signs on the building, facing Mount Road, that's probably the best use case for it. It's a very visible branding to what we're doing with Rockdale Music, which Jared has going currently. Safety and security, again, a huge focus for us. We see this not only as an opportunity to create little part-time jobs and areas for attendance for parking, but we want, and are working with the landlord to properly light the parking lot, both for safety concerns for the attendees and then also traffic on the entrance and exit on Mount Road. We plan on having security staff for every show that we do. And then cameras, we currently have cameras on the property that are installed by the landlord, but are planning on some more interior cameras, exterior cameras, just to make sure that everybody feels safe. We have everything covered. We are planning on putting in a sprinkler system per code. That's part of what the architect is doing. And we'll also be kind of in close coordination and plan on working with the police department, anybody who needs to know what's going on, how many people are going to be there. We want to be kind of as transparent as possible about that. There is an emergency responder lane that we plan on blocking off entirely, not blocking off, but no parking, so that there's always a way to get through. So that is very important, something we take very seriously and want to make sure we get that right. And if any time, I'll kick it over to Jared.
So this is just a proposed timeline of what we're looking at. So we'd like to build like I said, we're running out of space with the Rockdale Music School. So our first phase is really building new lesson and rehearsal spaces. And then we'd be building out more of the venue, the infrastructure needed for the venue, which would include the restrooms, a bar area, reception, and stage. Then we'd be working on the entrances, making sure they're ADA compliant, and the parking spaces with at least 5 handicap parking spaces based on the code for 100 to 150 parking spaces in Aston Code. And that is it for now. If you have any questions, please be happy to answer.
Okay, let's go back on a couple things. Who is the landlord? Who owns the building?
Ida Enterprises.
Okay, and do you have the support of the landlord?
Yes,
in order to
yes,
proceed
I
with
do
this?
have the support of the landlord. I actually asked for a letter of support and just realized now that they did not send it over yet. So but I'll get that and I'll make sure to forward. Yeah, she offered it to do. We just did not receive it.
Well, my thought is, since the commissioners are going to take it under consideration and render their decision next month, that between then and now,
Yes.
now and then, for you to submit that letter of support and it can be incorporated as part of the file.
Yes.
Okay? So along those lines, talking about parking, if the commissioners put as one of the conditions of approval that the parking lot be repainted with, with
Yes, yeah.
appropriate parking spots, and the lighting be addressed, is that something that the landlord is willing to pay for, or you're going to pay for? Is that something that's going to happen?
That's something we'll either collaborate with the landlord. I mean, we plan to align the spaces as well, so that's kind of built into.
It comes down to us. We can't come to an agreement with the landlord. We'll take that on.
Our landlord, it has been very helpful with everything that we've done so
What
far,
did you
though.
spell that? What is it?
EADEH.
Okay, so these paved areas, you say that it's paved areas for 86 additional spaces. I'm assuming you had a professional go out and take the
Yes,
necessary
David-
measurements.
Sorry, can you also try not to talk at the same time?
I'm so sorry.
I warned you. She's tough.
She's got a job. It's a hard job. I can't do it. Yes. Sorry. The question was again.
I assume that you had a professional go out and take the necessary measurements in order to come up with these numbers.
Yes. Damon Engineers.
Okay.
They went and did the complete site plan.
And the parking spaces that are to the rear of the property, those are shared parking spaces along with the rest of the building?
Yes, the shared parking spaces. We plan to operate in times that other businesses usually are not operating on the weekends. So, although they do use some of those parking spaces on the weekends, they're usually not there. So that's one of the stipulations that benefits us.
Okay. Would you also be willing to accept as one of the conditions that for the events that are intended, because obviously everyone wants you to be successful, for the events that you are hoping to draw anywhere upwards from 150 to 250 people, that you would provide the necessary traffic control individuals out on the street, parking attendants,
Yes.
that sort of thing?
Yep, that's planned into our staffing, is that we would, and also we're parking attendants or valet. If it does get to be some more of an overflow where we can't fit in all of the spots, then we would just have somebody who could valet, and we can squeeze more vehicles in there.
And I thought I did see in here somewhere that you do have plans for private security during events. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Sometimes people make poor choices when they go to concerts. So
Yes, as a musician who's been doing this for a long time, I know I've seen a lot of portraits.
well, my point, I'm just making fun of myself. My point is that we don't want that responsibility to be shifted to the police department.
Right.
That you're taking the necessary
Yes.
measures, and that's something that you're willing to do.
One of our good friends works in security that has offered to help us put together a plan. He actually was the head of security at Springfield Mall, so this would be a small potatoes project for him, I think.
And you've indicated that you've spoken with the manager of the Aston Arts Center,
Yes, we've been collaborative.
and you have their support as well.
Yes.
Veronica, do we have?
As president of Aston Arts, I give my full support.
Well, okay, that's Veronica Batter.
Yes.
Okay.
Veronica, got it.
Okay. think I'm going to hold off on anything further at this point. Commissioners, would you like to have Mr. Viscuso ask his questions next before we turn it over to you?
That may help us, yeah, that'd be
Good evening. Good presentation. Good
Thank you.
presentation. So just a couple things I want to get on the record. First off, regardless of I know you say you want to restrict to 250, but the township has to go by what could possibly fit. Right?
Sure.
So the 363 number is a real number in terms of how the township has to look at things, because you could theoretically fit that many people. You could sell this whole thing 3 days after you open it, and somebody else could come in and
Sure.
Right. So we're going to stick with that number for a minute. Let's just talk about the bathrooms. And again, I just want to get on the record that I assume you have not spoken to the code enforcement officer yet. Or have you spoken yet?
Just generally about the project, not based on specifics to these plans.
Okay. So the number of stalls, urinals. I see the bathroom is gender neutral.
That's all based with, that's all based from our architect, made those plans based on going on, I believe on just the capacity.
Right. Well, that's what I was getting at, is that we have to, they're going to have to work that out with the code enforcement officer in terms of that capacity number.
Correct.
And you'll agree that you'll meet the building code.
Yes.
For that. When I know the property very well. Mr. Reed has been a good landlord in the township. When he bought that, he turned that property around many years ago. So he's always been very friendly to the township in terms of that. What other uses are in the building today?
In there right now, it's an industrial. I mean, it's a guy who builds tables and furniture. So he's a furniture maker. He's going to be moving into another unit once we start.
Is he the only one? There was a car.
body shop.
Body shop. Is that still?
That's next door, not in the same unit. That Carmen's is the next unit over.
Okay. And he does not share or need these parking spaces?
No, his parking spaces would be up and around. I mean, he would be sharing the larger amount of parking spaces. He would have some of those, yes.
All right. The concern I have is, and again, the commissioners will decide, what they're going to do with it. The concern I have is that, again, you're there today. The furniture maker is there. The car, the body shop is there. Those businesses could also be sold tomorrow or the next day or 3 years from now, and then that use could conflict with those 86 parking spaces.
Sure.
Right? So there may have to be some condition there about that may restrict Mr. Ida from future rental of the space because of that. I just want to be careful about that.
Okay.
We know the area very well. The township, the site distance coming out of there is not the best, right, today, for a car to, for a driver to see both right and left, it's not the best in terms of site distance. And now we're going to add a very large number of cars to that at nighttime events. So again, I think that's something that we have, and I can talk to your engineer, Mr. Damon, about that.
Okay.
It's something we just want to take a look at in terms of could it be improved, cutting back vegetation, those type of things. But I do have a general concern about site distance, given the few amount of cars that are there today versus the large amount of cars that will use the facility.
Sure. We do have arts events where there are a larger amount of cars coming in and out. Not at night normally, but there have been events, regularly held events that do use most of the parking lot, right, for many years.
I want to go to the 363 number. So again, regardless of what you say in terms of 250,
sure,
right? It's the capacity of what you can put in there, and to say that when we, myself and the solicitor and Mr. Dockery and Veronica spent a lot of time putting the ordinance together, and one of the things we thought long and hard about was parking, and we decided, there were times where we talked about putting parking restrictions in, but we said we're going to leave that kind of loose, leave it to the conditional use hearings, and listen to the vendors that might be coming in or the owners that might be coming in, and then try to work out the parking situation with them. So that said, I in no way, shape, or form do I agree that you can use the township ordinance of one space for 150 square feet you could stand a lot of people in 150 square feet. So to say that you're going to have one parking space for 150 square feet, I don't think is practical.
I'm sorry, those numbers were though that one for every 5 plus one for every
It's
150
one for
square
every
feet.
5. It's the way
One
it
for every
reads,
5
right?
guests plus one for every.
Right. So I think what I'm
150
getting at is
and-
I'm coming up with what parking counts that are much greater than the 100 that you might have. Based on because I don't think the ordinance was built for this kind of, even our existing ordinance was not built for this. So there may be times when you're going to be at capacity and over capacity, and I don't even think that a valet is going to. You may have to consider off-site parking.
Sure, and we discussed that. We did not put that in the plan just because that's not like something that we have the details ironed out at, but we definitely have discussed that we would shuttle people from a nearby lot.
Any
We
thoughts
also
of
have to.
any thoughts of where that might be?
Well, I mean, the 2 New Road property, on the weekends, there's a lot of parking over there. Flextron, there's parking there on the weekends. Again, I would have to talk to all of those owners to make sure they'd be on board with that.
So if a condition was, if one of the conditions was that there would have to be some guarantee of off-site parking, and again, it would have to be some kind of formal agreement in place that the commissioners could see, right? Because I think, look, we all go to concerts and know that that happens.
Yeah.
Right? They shuttle people back and forth. So
Right.
it's a natural event. Not every venue, not every thing that you put up there is going to have 363 people.
Right.
That might be 1 out of 100.
We'd love-
twice
we'd
a
love-
year.
yeah.
You'd love it to happen
Yeah,
every
really.
night. I get that. But I think
Well,
that-
maybe not 360.
I think it's something that
And also these are preliminary designs, and we've talked to the architect about like adjusting the floor plan to make sure that we're just hitting 250 using the square footage. So these are not final construction designs, and we're open to moving the floor plan around to make it.
Yeah, again, I think the township obviously wants you to be very successful. This is a great, a nice venue to have in the township. But I think that we just all have to be careful about what we're walking into,
Yes.
and protect all of us,
Mhm.
if you are successful, right? So I think the idea of shuttling, I was talking to Beth today, I was trying to think like, where an off-site location might be. It would probably have, Newman University, I don't know what it is.
Right,
But I think there would have to be something put in place that would kind of
Yes.
iron that out, as part of one.
Can I answer your question on parking while we're just talking about it? So, when you look at the lot and you're just talking about other venues, so if you have, is there anything in the ordinance where if you have valet, if you go to the Philadelphia or even Ardmore, they'll stack cars?
Sure.
As long as they have that, you see that in lots. Is that the type of thing that can create more spaces, or how does that even work?
Well, I
from a
think
planning
Jared
standpoint?
mentioned that earlier, that that's something that they would do with the valet. If the valet park, it would be a different parking arrangement. And that might be a way to, again, handle the larger events. But even at that, I think if we ever get to the 250 plus, I think you're not going to fit the cars on this lot.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I know Jared had said it before. I was just circling back to it just to figure out for like accommodating spaces, because technically, it's I don't know the definition of a parking space. Not to go all lawyery, Beth, there, but like, does that count to add more or for some
Well,
efficiency there?
Yeah, I mean, our ordinance is very specific to a space being 9 feet by 18 feet, where it's got dimensional, and that's how you count the number of spaces. We don't get into the idea of valet parking and stacking and those type of things. But I think that again, as I said earlier, eyes wide open when we went into the establishment, we knew that parking at some of the things up in Rockdale were going to be problematic, and we would handle them on a case-by-case basis. So I think there's ways to handle it, but we just all have to be on the same page that this is what is agreed to as part of any approval. Okay. And then the last question I have is, and you guys may or may not know the answer there, but I didn't see anything on Mr. Damon's plan about floodplain up there. I don't know that what the floodplain is. I don't know. I think there have been times when that building has.
Yeah, I do not know what the floodplain is. It has flooded into my current space once while I've been there. But this is lifted another 4 feet above.
Okay, so this space is more protected, you think?
This space is more protected than most of the other spaces that are over there because of the 4-foot lift.
Perfect. And again, I might ask Mr. Damon to show that on the plan at some point.
Sure.
And he's capable of, he would take elevations of your floor, because again, Township has got higher powers, FEMA, the federal government, that pass floodplain regulations onto us.
Right.
That we are required to enforce.
Of course.
So we have, and there are, and again, I didn't see anything in the plan that you're not adding pavement, you're striking what pavement is already there. So that would be a no-no, right? But even the improvements inside the building, if you're 4 foot higher, we get that elevation, that will again set the standards that the code enforcement officer would have to look at, and also that what I would have to look at as the township engineer, because again, we have to make sure that we're enforcing the floodplain ordinance that has been passed down to the township. Commissioner Higgins, that's all my questions.
Thank you, Joe. I want to get input from John and Joe first. John, because you're kind of the grandfather of this thing, and I don't want to insult you, Veronica, because I know you're. But
Okay.
since you've been involved in the very beginning.
Yeah, I'll start just a few questions. So first off, guys, great presentation. Great job.
Thanks, John.
I know a while back you reviewed initial plans with the fire marshal. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How do you plan on selling tickets?
We do it all. It would be almost all online sales for tickets. It would definitely we'd have a ticketing system, not Ticketmaster for sure.
Don't get Taylor Swift.
Yeah, no Ticketmaster. But actually, one of my good friends, I've been, like I said, I've been in this industry for a long time. So one of my good friends actually has built a ticketing system that he used during COVID for a lot of his online, everything that he was doing online. So he's pretty much said I could just use this ticketing system, which is nice. And we would be able to do in-person sales as well, like sales at the door. Usually they do lower price beforehand, and then at the door might be a little bit.
So you can limit the number of people who come.
Yes, yeah. We plan to do, limit it by ticket sales.
Okay. Can you elaborate on the days you'd be operational, the hours?
Yes, Friday and Saturday evenings mainly. The bands would probably be loading in around 4 or 5 o'clock. We'd like to wrap shows up around 9 or 10 o'clock. We're not trying to do stuff late night. We don't think this, being in a neighborhood like this, we don't think it would be fair to the neighbors. And as a musician who's been playing a long time, I love them. I love an early night. We'll take an early night any day.
Okay, and
then maybe some Sunday matinee shows.
So one last question. So the most important thing when we wrote the Arts District overlay, will this be a mime-free zone?
Yeah, no mimes.
No mimes, Scott. Okay.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. Commissioner McGinn, it's in your ward technically, so I think you should ask all the questions you want.
Sure. Thanks, Commissioner Higgins. And thanks, guys, for the presentation. I'll echo what John said. In my couple years on the board, we've had a lot of people come in for presentations. This was the most professional we've had in terms of those details. There's always going to be questions. That's why we have the professionals here to try to work it out. So I appreciate your patience as we go through it to try to make something, encourage business, but also make sure we're smart about how we do it. A lot of my questions were answered. One of the things I think John touched on in terms of hours, if there were conditions on hours and things like that, is it something that's reasonable in terms of? And then another question is, obviously we've already talked about the parkings a lot, so I'm not going to go into that. But the other piece in terms of from a concert going experience is tailgating. So addressing that, because from a noise standpoint. Have you given that any thought, or?
That's not something. Usually, I'll say at this size show that I don't see that being much of a concern. At most of the venues that I go to, I don't see tailgating that's more of kind of a big festival kind of thing. but but it's something that we would definitely have to consider and address if it were to become an issue. I mean, that's not something that I have considered at this point. So.
Okay.
But it's something I will now consider.
Yeah, and I don't know, from a legal standpoint, but if there were conditions or things addressed on that, is that the type of thing that you guys would consider?
Yeah, I think it would, and our private security staff would handle, telling people, you gotta be in the venue or you gotta be in your car out of here, right?
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then a question, I'm not sure if it's a Beth or Joe question, but, and maybe I've just watched too many movies, where you have the fire marshal that like says how many people are in a venue or things like this, but is there any review from a fire marshal or how would he be engaged in this?
I think John said they already did, right?
So that's done?
We just did a preliminary kind of, mainly my concern was we have one in and out, right? It's
Right.
one drive in and out, one lane. So I wanted to make sure before we started anything that like the fire marshal was okay with.
Okay.
Town board should review.
Yeah.
And open air one and say, see how many people.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was going at.
When it goes through code.
Ingress because of emergency vehicles going in.
So that just goes into our process, just so that it's addressed. Okay. No, I appreciate it. I think, I would encourage you in terms of letters of support. It's important. Veronica, if you're supportive, those kind of things for the record are always helpful. I appreciate you guys coming in as we try to consider this. I can't think of another question right now, Commissioner Higgins, but if it does, I'll ask for more time.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Bowden, would you like to go this way?
My main concern is parking, and I, as the Park and Rec chairman for the events that go on in our community, I look forward to you guys. It's exciting. I'm concerned about parking because I know even though you're thinking of off-site parking, there is nowhere up here for off-site parking. In fact, to Kitchener Road, you're not getting to it. The bridge is down for a couple of years, so you're not getting to it.
That's true. That's very
So I'm thinking in advance of the people up there and that they're not used to a lot of traffic, because it's kind of they live kind of quietly in that area up there. And I really don't want to see them disturbed with all kind of traffic coming through and parking. But that's my concern is parking. Thank you.
That's all? Good. Thank you. Commissioner Barry.
Like Commissioner Bowden, I think the parking problem is the main issue. If we can come up with a solution, I think, That's all I got. Joe and the cover, but everything else.
Thank you. Where did Commissioner go? Okay. All right, then I'll wait. I have some questions as usual. Yeah. Last night when I was going over the presentation, I was really impressed, like everybody else was, I believe. And I was looking at the pictures and everything. I could just imagine, what it would be like there. So I think you did a great job on that. And a picture's worth 1,000 words. So I have a couple questions. I'll stay away from the parking because I think most of that's been answered or will be. So now there's yellow arrows shown on that traffic chart with it, so that there's flow going into the parking lot in the back.
Yes.
I am familiar with the lot from going back there during a couple of storms just to see what it looked like, how bad it was.
Sure.
So since the vehicles will be going down that driveway and in the back, so I assume that the entrance for those people would be in the back, and they wouldn't be coming around the front or anything like that.
Correct.
Right?
All the entrances, the only entrance that's accessible would be from the back.
So if somebody local along the road there walked down, would they have to go to the back because they go in those stairs in the front?
No, there's no access to this space from the front.
Your space is from the back only?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a space that I could pull up the plan, but there's a space behind the building, between the two buildings, that allows another fire exit, but it's just like a corridor between two buildings.
Okay.
You can see that black stripe
Yeah.
Yeah, basically where that.
And this is actually a parking map they need for me to tell our students how to get there, because it is a little bit tricky to find us a little bit.
Okay. All right. The presentation, one thing on, I guess, parking. Your presentation would indicate that the proposed parking space will be ready in the spring or summer. So is that correct? Is that accurate?
Yeah, based on everything else kind of moving along.
Okay. Safety, security was already discussed. I looked at the counter area there, I said, I'm thirsty,
Yeah.
So my question there is, it led me to believe, that doesn't mean it's true, will food and beverages be available to the client, to the people that are your customers?
Yeah, food and beverage, so we don't plan to do a liquor license right away. That would be something that we do. We want to see kind of proof of concept that we've got enough people coming in before we even look into that. But we've looked into other options like breweries, distilleries, cideries. They all have tasting room licenses. They have 5 tasting room licenses that they can go and serve alcohol at another venue. So we'd like to partner with different breweries. I was also
like 2SP or something like
2SP,
that. Yeah.
Four Fingers is right down the street, so
Yeah.
it would be great to incorporate some of the local breweries. Also, I was just at a show at Warehouse 3 where they were serving alcohol, but they just did donations at the end of the night that people. I had no idea that was something that you could do. So I don't know. We're looking into different options to be, or BYOB. Like, we're completely open to doing something like that. We're not really.
Honor bar? Is that how it works?
Yeah, it was like an honor bar. I guess like you're allowed to give away.
Yeah.
Hey, loopholes is all. I'm not exactly sure, but I've been to a couple that. I mean, the Media Arts Council right on State Street. They did the same thing when I was there recently. And they even had suggested donations priced out, which I was like, now we're getting.
Just to add on the food side, I don't think we're looking at any prep area for food or cooking area. We're really looking at more of a catering situation.
Yes. Food trucks.
Yeah. You would keep us in the loop on that, so.
Yes.
Because if you were gonna have it, even the food truck needs to have a health inspection.
Sure.
So we'd be interested in that, but, yeah, you go to an affair like that, even to a show up in town, there is an intermission in there, and everybody runs down to the bar or gets a soda or something like that. So, all right, that's good.
So our next door neighbor is also a caterer as well.
What?
One of our next door neighbors is also a caterer.
Okay.
We've talked about him working with us.
Good.
So, yeah.
Okay. So I noticed some of the charts, it talks about music lessons, training classes, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Now, I got a little confused, but that's not untypical. So now, will you be operating all during the week, like in the daytime, or is it for classes and teaching and stuff?
Yeah, so we'll be operating Monday through Saturday, really,
Okay.
with our regular lessons and classes going on during the day, mainly after school hours. Is with most of our programming, but we are working on building some programming for preschool aged and homeschool programs as well.
Good. So now, as far as the landlord, I know you're going to look for a letter of support. Do you know if the landlord has any plans for the future? Because you're going to, you're really improving the inside and so forth. Old-looking venues probably, attract people anyway when they know what you have inside. But do you think they'd ever want to improve the appearance in any way that would help you? More business to come in there, or do you see it probably staying the same?
I'm not sure. We haven't discussed any of that. I mean, I know that they just did replace the roof on the front of the building. So, whenever we've asked for any type of
They commissioned a parking study for us, so they were very much interested in things that could improve their situation.
I think now that especially all of the spaces are getting rented back there, and there's the income now for them. I think that they're definitely more open to doing more adjustments, and they're seeing the arts come in and you know be have a big impact
Yeah.
in the area.
I envision that probably too big of a desire to see the thing get real big, but I look at it when maybe we get some of these coffee shops or tea shops or different stuff in there, little boutiques that it could be an Aston. What's the place up on the river? New Hope.
Yeah,
Aston
yeah.
New Hope or something like that. And I think that'll bring people into Aston because you're there, because Veronica's there, and I think that people might go spend money somewhere else in town after they come out of a show or whatever, you know. And so I just think this is a great opportunity for you. I think it's a great opportunity for the town. You know.
Thank you.
So we hope to see it. You know?
I think so too.
Joe, before I move to Craig, do you have anything else you want? No. Okay. Fred, we missed you, so you might want to make a few comments.
I don't know, do you guys know you can get a temporary license to serve beer?
Oh, you must have heard that outside.
No, we did it with the Knights.
I think we're
done it with the Knights over the years.
Oh, nice.
You get a temporary
I think
license.
right now we're not super concerned with that part of it yet.
Yeah.
We've just been exploring from like a very high level of like what certain options would be, and anything like that we'd be happy to come back and
This
make
is
sure.
just something to tell you that it is
Sure.
available.
Hey, yeah,
We'll have you over.
yeah, you can have.
Yeah, we do it for the Knights of Columbus.
We were even talking about like lockers that you bring your own bottle and you could leave it behind or something like that. I don't know. We're trying to think of yeah.
My other question is, I'm like Joe, I have a very big concern about your parking stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think you need to come back before the end of next month with a guarantee how you're going to do that.
Sure.
Okay?
Yep.
And I guess you're counting on having disability spots in the parking lot.
Yeah. Yes.
I
Yes.
just want to make sure that, knowing that you lose the spots then, basically. That's it, I'm good.
Thanks, Fred. One last question. On one of the schematics there, did I see some kind of a lift in the picture?
Yes. There's
I
2 lifts.
I forgot to write that down.
The lifts are by the entrance. So this is actually going to be built out like almost like a deck area off the front, and that would be also just for working in music venues a lot. During the summertime, people don't necessarily want to be indoors to go see a show, so we thought we might build like a little kind of decking so there could be some kind of little show out, like a parking lot kind of show, but it would just be used, and that would be easy access for the chairlift to also come right up in there.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions they'd like to pose to the gentleman? No? Okay. That's it. You, or can we just go right to the audience? Yeah.
Can you, your intentions with respect to outdoor shows? That changes things. So,
I guess that's not
Just
really something
elaborate on
that's not for this, for this, like that would be something we would get approval for separately if that were something that we were gonna do. I like that's just an idea. We found that this was the easiest way to also get the chairlift involved
Right,
too.
okay.
And then we kind of looked at that as like, oh, as an accessory, this might be something we could do down the road.
Okay, so any, you would come back before the
Yes, yeah,
commissioners and
for
do
sure.
that? Okay.
Not a priority.
Yes.
All right, those are the questions I have.
Sure.
Thank you.
Is there any folks in the audience who would like to ask some questions? None, Kathy?
No, a couple here. I would like to invite you to Community Day.
Community Day for Rockdale Music? We'd love to come to Community Day.
Aston ABA Community Day.
That's, yes.
Veronica could tell you all about it.
We've been there in the past, and we just haven't been in a couple of years. Yep, we're for Rockdale Music. We used to set up our instruments and let the kids play. It's been years, but Richard's Guitar Studio was kind of saying it was their turf a little bit, but you know.
Well, we have brought in
We can,
the barrier also.
Okay, all right, we'll be.
You're all invited.
Yep, we'll be there.
Is that an okay question?
Well, if I could just suggest that any questions or comments, that you come to the podium and introduce yourself. We are making a record, so.
You want to come up to the podium? Do you?
Why don't you invite them up there? When they're up there.
So I'm Veronica Batter, do I have to give my address? 2501 Mount Road, President of Rockdale Arts District, President of Aston Mills Arts, Director of Rockdale Art Center. So yes, I fully support all of this. And speaking about the company that owns the property, Ada Enterprises, so I've been working with them on building improvements, and I have the whole front part of this complex that's along Mount Road. So they just redid the roof on what we call a brick side section. I'm working with them to get new windows along the front, and also we had talked about repainting the front of the building. So we are working to improve that whole area over here. And Stacy, who is president of the company that deals with the day-to-day operations of that complex, she is fully supportive of everything that we're doing. She's been very excited to see Jared come in and grow and take over another space and grow. She's been really excited to work together in growing the art studios. So she's very supportive, and the company is very supportive. And all their employees, all the people that maintain the building, they've been very responsive to all our requests for improvements. And then as far as parking goes, when we have our open houses for the studios, we do operate more like during the day. We have it Saturdays and Sundays, obviously, but we do have 200 visitors come in and out of that parking lot. So over the course of about 4 hours, I'd say 45 hours, but with proper signage, sometimes we have people help direct people around. It seems to work out. So I know in the dark it'd be a little different situation, but I think we all work together, and the people that have businesses back there, as long as we're in contact with each other, like I coordinate with Jared, I talk to 13th Street Cocktails, who has the garage in the back. I let the gym know we're having an event this weekend. Can you move your cars around? This is what we're going to do, and that works out fine. So hopefully that could continue between everybody that's running space back there. So thank you.
Thanks, Veronica. So any other
Nicholas Penza, 3rd and Morgan Road, Aston, PA. Now, this will exit down here. Is this going out into an open area, or?
This goes out to the parking lot.
So is that going to be covered? Is it going to be walled?
This would be this would not be walled. This would be the
All right.
that decking area.
I'm just a bit concerned that all the exits are single file.
This one will be at least a double door exit.
All right. Right. Hey, now I'm very confused. I thought the Rockdale Rock Center was the Rockdale Art Center was already a place, but you're making it sound like it's not a place
The
yet.
Rockdale Art Center is a place that's actually run by Veronica McFadden. This is a completely different business.
So how's this involved with Rockdale and all of them?
I think there's a number of the building itself is quite large, and the Rockdale Art Center is only in a portion of the building, and they're in a different portion of the
We're
building.
actually down the road, so when I'm down the
Yeah,
road,
that's what I'm
a separate
saying.
place. Yeah, this is completely separate. So there's art studios in the front, which is Aston Mills Arts, and that's along Mount Road.
Right.
Jared has Rockdale Music, which is completely separate around the back of the building. Clear on the other side, and a separate part, it's like its own separate building in the back behind that. And then next to his place, Rockdale Music, he's going to expand it to the mill at Rockdale, which is this venue right here.
But the general structure's there right now, right?
The building's there, yeah.
All right. Now, just how much construction's is it gonna be any exterior construction?
Only at the entranceway. That'd be the only.
The chairlift needs to be installed here and this decking that we're talking about is landing.
All right, and you're saying there's already, what were the two places that are in that facility right now? Auto mechanic and the furniture upholsterer. All right, that's all I want.
Thank you, Nick.
concludes the hearing. Thank you, Commissioner Higgins.
Okay,
Commissioner Higgins, can I make a motion to take the meeting out of signing time?
yeah, I was going to ask somebody to, okay. We need a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to take the meeting out of Sendai. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Ayes, got it. Thank you. Thanks, Stu. All right, next item is item 10A. Wait till Ms. Bowden gets here. You okay? All right, number 10A. Consider a motion to accept the proposal from Lightsell and Economides, PC, for accounting and management advisory services. Commissioner Doherty.
I make a motion to accept the proposal for 2023 from Lightsell and Economides, PC, fees not to exceed $3,300 per month for accounting and management advisory services in the form of a motion.
Do we have a motion and a second? Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Item number 10B. Consider a motion to accept the proposal from Bars, Gowie, Amon, and Fultz to provide services completing the 2022 Aston Township audit. Commissioner Doherty.
I make a motion to accept the proposal for Bars, Gowie, Amon, and Fultz to provide services completing the Aston Township 2022 financial audit with fees not to exceed $26,950 in the form of a motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? The ayes have it. Item 10C. Consider a motion to update the 2023 Aston Township fee schedule. Commissioner Doherty.
I make a motion to approve the updates being made to the Aston Township 2023 fee schedule in the form of a motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Item 10D. Consider a motion to accept the bid from Moore Brothers of Boothwyn, PA, 19061 in the amount of $20,200 for excavating and installing the stone sub-base for the salt barn located at the new Public Works Building. Commissioner Prendergast.
I make a motion to accept the bid from Moore Brothers, Boothwyn, PA, 19061 in the amount of $20,200 for excavating and installing of stone sub-base, which will be done for the installation of the salt barn at the new Public Works Building. In the form of a motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. 10E. Consider a resolution for the release of a letter of credit to Jackpot Properties. Commissioner Doherty.
All right, Aston Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, Resolution 2023-01, whereas Section 1232.08 of the Aston Township Codified Ordinance allows for the posting of financial security for completion of improvements, and whereas Aston Investors Letter of Credit number 200009927 was posted as security agreement for completion of improvements for Jackpot Properties, LLC, for the car wash located at 5140 Pennell Road, Aston, PA. And whereas the Township Engineer is satisfied with the completion of the required work, now therefore be it resolved that Aston Township executes such action as required by the Township Engineer and the Board of Commissioners to release the letter of credit 2009927, duly adopted this 18th day of January 2023. Michael J. Higgins, Vice President, Board of Commissioners, attested to by Kellyanne Pittman, Assistant Township Secretary, in the form of a motion.
We have a motion and a second. I want to make one comment. For those who are wondering, who Jackpot Properties are, they are the owners of the new Victory Lane Car Wash. It's up there on Pennell Road, above 5 Points. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. And it looks like we're up to Commissioner McGinn, and he's going to read the
So we have two escrow releases for this month. Start with the first. I'll make a motion to release $3,183 for engineering fees to be paid to Pannoni Associates for the month of January.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Ayes have it.
Thanks. And one other one. I make a motion to release $3,357.75 for engineering fees to be paid to Cirilli Associates Incorporated for the month of January.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Okay. That brings us to this is item 12, open to the public for 1/2 hour. It could be on any subject. Do we have anybody who's interested? Yes, we do. The roundabout is not going to be built. This is Kathy Papp.
Kathy Papp, 2931 Concord Road, Aston. I want to start by saying that I have to admit there are many right things and good things about Aston Township, from the activities, the events, the police, the community center, the commissioners, the staff, etc. And the ordinances being online with a wonderful search engine. That said, I do, however, have to say that I am perplexed, confused, and disappointed, wondering how Aston Township Commissioners and Township Zoning Board can morally, ethically, and legally coerce people to install a sidewalk at a point of sale when no sidewalks previously existed. Ordinances do exist for new construction or if selling a house that has sidewalks in disrepair, requiring them to be repaired. However, this isn't an ordinance requiring the need for sidewalks to be installed when a property is sold and one does not exist. Federal government requires laws, guidelines, rules to be written down and goes so far as to state that if it's not written down, it didn't happen, or you can't enforce it, because everything needs to be documented, codified, and published. So basically, I should have a rule of thumb that is not written or documented about sidewalks. If a majority of the percentage of the ward has sidewalks, then sidewalks need to be added at point of sale is totally ridiculous and asinine, in my opinion. So I would like to ask how the governing bodies of Aston can morally, ethically, and legally coerce people to install a sidewalk if there is no such ordinance.
Good point. We're not going to resolve any disagreement here tonight.
It's already done deal, but this is going forward because, like I said, you guys have done a great job with the ordinances that are in existence. You probably remember, if not, I used to be an auditor, and I followed rules, regulations, and guidelines, and it's all about in the written documentation. I just am posing that question for future because the property that I'm referring to, my family's property, is already a done deal. But again, it's not an ordinance, so possibly you should change the ordinances or make some type of alignment because, like I said, it is not documented. And I pulled all the search engines with the ordinances, and it is not in there. So,
okay.
If you don't have an answer, that's fine.
No, I don't have an answer tonight. I'd have to consult with, but we will take it under advisement.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anybody would like to come up? Nick?
I'm Nicholas Penza, 30 Morgan Road, Aston. I just had some more questions about on the new business. Do we do an audit every year?
Yes, we do.
Oh, so is it in our township charter to do the audit, or?
First class townships are, I believe they're required to do an audit, yes.
By the Commonwealth?
Yes, first class township code.
These are just some audience surrogate
So you have townships of first class, the second class, you have boroughs. Okay, so we go by the first class township code only, and we follow the code.
Okay. What's the schedule fee?
Say again?
Schedule fee? Fee schedule.
Oh, the fee schedule. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about for the audit. The fee schedule covers primarily, but not only, permits and licenses. So, for example, if you're going to have a new roof put on your house, okay, there's a fee, there's a set fee for that. You're going to have, for example, an addition put on your house, there's a fee for that, okay? If you're going to have sidewalk and curbing put in, you need to have, there's a fee to do that.
Right,
And-
so it's a fee list. Why is it called a schedule then?
Because it's a schedule of fees.
No, but a schedule is like progressing in time.
Well, it's a schedule of fees, that's what townships call it. I mean, I can call it a list of fees, okay? But that is not something that changes the value of it. It's a schedule. You know, I've worked in the private sector for over 35 years, and you can have a schedule of actions, schedule of building plan, you know, so it's just it's terminology. It doesn't change the purpose or the functionality of it.
Item E of new business. What is the letter of credit?
The letter of credit, Kelly, that separate one,
It's when they go to land development or
Yeah.
to do a project, they get a letter of credit from the bank. So it stipulates what different things the engineer, the township, solicitor, they have to be done in order to have it released. It's like an investment in escrow. It's almost like an escrow, but it's not. We're not holding it. Their bank is holding it.
it's like you get a bond too. You can get a construction bond.
So, but in order to release it, we have to say that all the work was done satisfactory to the project.
Right, so how,
So their work is completed and
wait, but
the project is done.
I'm confused because you said the bank is holding it, but we are the ones to give the go-ahead to release it?
Because we're the ones overseeing the project. So if the project was not satisfactory, we can tell the bank to go ahead and release the money back to the company.
All right, but is this the project for just the completion of it, or?
Right? Yeah. So all of the project being completed is unsatisfactory, where the township engineer and everybody's saying it's done that way, so that way we're saying it's okay to give them the money.
Oh.
And they put in on a hold to make sure it was done satisfactory.
All right. Now, Jackpot Properties. Now, is it what is it? A franchise? Since they're not the same.
It is, and then they have Victory Car Wash.
Right. I know they have Victory, but I'm just confused.
They have several car washes. They have some.
Okay,
They have
that's
some
why
in
I'm
New
asking,
Jersey.
because
Yes.
they don't have the same name. And finally, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Anyone else for public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to other business. Commissioner Doherty.
Two things. First, I want to congratulate former Aston Township police officer Sergeant Chad Osborne. Chad is now the chief of police for East Fallowfield Township in Chester County. We wish him luck. Then I want to welcome our new officer, Michael Gomer. And then finally, farewell and thank you to Beth.
And like John said, I want to congratulate Chad Osborne for his move. And also want to congratulate Officer Mike Gomer for his being hired. And Beth, wanted to thank you for your service and that time and your memory and your expertise for what you've done for us. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'd like to congratulate Officer Gomer for his hiring and swearing in today, and I'd like to congratulate, actually wish Beth good luck. Thank you for everything you did. That's it.
Commissioner Bowden.
No, I'm not going to cry. No, I'm not. I absolutely am not. Congratulations, Mike Gomer. That I am going to miss you. I have been with you for a long, long time. Not only have you kept me out of jail, you've told me to shut my mouth when I need to, and many people can't get away with that. But you were my friend, and I have nothing but the best for you and future endeavors.
Commissioner McGinn.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. 2 points. The first, an update for Second Ward residents, and something I've heard from several is about the noise related to the whistles of the septic trains on Lenai Road. So certainly continuing to look at that and expect reach out to SEPTA for a written response in terms of what's going on and how the impacts could be mitigated, minimized, and expect that. I just got feedback today. Expect that letter to come to us in the next couple of days, hopefully by the end of this week, so we can look to address and talk to our township manager, as well as it's kind of right where Aston, Middletown, and Chester Heights meet, and the tracks actually aren't even in Aston in the first place, but some of the resident complaints are from Aston. So we're continuing to look at that and seeing what can be done there. And then Beth, so in terms of the duties of a lawyer, I don't know if it goes into your oath in terms of as a lawyer in Pennsylvania, but simply put, part of it is to, some people call it fancy names like mitigating risk, but you have clients and your goal is to keep them out of trouble. And when I look up and down this row here, and I know our predecessors, some clients are easier, some clients aren't, and you've done a heck of a job with some tough clay to mold here. So thank you for all you've done for Aston over these past 18 years. We're certainly going to miss you, and I personally just want to wish you the best of luck.
Bill Theo?
Yeah, Beth. Good luck, Beth. Just want to wish you good luck in everything that you do in your future, and you will be missed by Aston Township. Thank you for your service.
Ms. Pittman?
Just good luck, congratulations. I'm gonna miss you. You've been a huge help always for me. I know I reach out. I always appreciate it. I'm still gonna call.
Engineer Vizcuso?
One thing on the release of the letter of credit, I did talk to, or I emailed Eileen and Kelly. I'd asked that it not be, quote, released, that the letter not go to the bank until we clear up just a couple of really, really minor items that are still left up there. They may have been done today, but I just want to make sure that they're done because I won't have any leverage once this letter of credit is released. So I don't think that changes the resolution tonight, but just don't put it in the mail yet until we clear that up. As far as Beth is concerned, it really has been my honor to work with her. Mike talked earlier about the longevity. I think Beth is the third solicitor that I've worked with here in the township, probably the longest tenured one, maybe that we ever had. And I work with a lot of municipalities, both on the public sector side and on the private sector side. And it's invaluable when you call the solicitor and you get an answer. I think that time is money in this business, and to just get answers when you need answers, and work just doesn't sit there. With Beth, I could reach her any time of the day and almost immediately get an answer. So I think that should be a criteria for anyone we bring in to try to fill those shoes, because she has just been wonderful to work with, and I'm going to miss her. I'm going to miss her expertise and guidance that she gave me. I might cry, Nancy. So, but yeah, and best of luck. I think that our loss is Gaudenzia's House's gain at the township here. So she will be a hell of a corporate counsel for them. I know she'll bring a lot. Her passion will go from us to them, and that's a good thing for them. So Beth, thanks for all the help you've given me over the time that we worked together. Kristen, Mike.
And would you like to say something, my dear?
Well, it's been my privilege. But yeah, I've been here a while. Mr. DeFeo is the fifth manager that I've worked with. I do think about the commissioners that I have had the pleasure of working for over the years. Joe mentioned earlier that, hey, you kept Jimmy McGinn out of jail. But it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from you, Joe. And we miss you all. I'm very excited, and I really appreciate your support as I take on this new challenge and this new adventure. So thank you very much.
It just dawned on me, all these years, the two of you sat next to each other. As long as I've been here, so it's going on to 18, you know. And I don't think you ever held hands. You know. but yeah. But seriously, Beth, you know, I'm not going to say goodbye. I'm going to say see you later. You know, so long. You know, I'm sure your path and ours will cross at some event. Maybe it'll be a political affair. Maybe it'll be something else. You know, somebody's corn boil. You know, so you know, really appreciate how you've helped me and the others, and I won't forget it. Okay. Also, congrats to new officer Michael Gomer, and congrats to Sergeant Osborne in his new venture in Chester County. So, with that, I need a motion to adjourn. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, audience.